Soul of the Balkans begins with an 8-night voyage along Croatia's coastline and through its islands. It starts with 2 nights in Dubrovnik before moving to the islands of Miljet and Korčula. It then continues to the islands of Vis and Hvar before finally arriving for a 2-night stay in Split. Soul of the Balkans begins with a spectacular flight over Dubrovnik's old city and along the Croatian coastline. Soon after, the plane begins its descent into Slipi Airport. Ringed by mountains, it's 15 kilometers from the center of Dubrovnik. On our arrival in Dubrovnik, we transfer immediately to the Emmanuel, our ship which will be our home for the next 8 nights. She's moored in a quiet bay next to the old city of Dubrovnik. Shimmering on the Adriatic Sea, Dubrovnik is simply one of the most magnificent walled cities in the world. Dating back to the 13th century, it is simply a masterpiece of Gothic, Renaissance and Baroque architecture. As the sun begins to set, the interplay of light along the streets and limestone buildings is just breathtaking. After 2 nights in Dubrovnik, we plot our course for the islands of Miljet and Korčula. Sailing past the old walled city of Dubrovnik, we reach Miljet by lunchtime. The island of Miljet is completely unspoiled and covered by dense Mediterranean forest. Miljet has 2 salt lakes, and effectively the whole island is a national park, rich in mineral life. After a beautiful hike around the lake and lunch at Benedictine Monastery, we sail on to the island of Korčula. Often referred to as Little Dubrovnik because of its medieval squares, Korčula is much more difficult to get to than other islands. We drop anchor for the night and then start to explore the island. 47 kilometers in length, Korčula is the 6th largest island in the Adriatic. The old town is ringed with defence fortifications, and inside there is Gothic architecture and marble streets. The whole town is built in the shape of a fishbone. The western streets are open to the summer sea breezes, while the eastern streets are protected from the winter. Korčula is also famous for wine, thanks to an indigenous grape called Prošek. Tonight we have dinner in the most famous winery on the island. The next morning, we up anchor and set sail for the islands of Vis and Hvar. Our ship, the Emmanuel, is an 18-cabin vessel which is exclusive to travel directors. The cabins are well appointed with ensuite facilities and a mixture of double and twin beds. The cuisine aboard the ship is superb. It's a mixture of seafood, of course, Italian and Hungarian food. Sometimes we have dinners on the top deck, and often we have dinners in the main restaurant, which is also the bar. All of the staff on the ship have been with us for many years. They know how to prepare tables, and they know what service is. The Emmanuel has Wi-Fi, and it works all over the ship, including the sun deck. By late afternoon, we reach the island of Hvar, and we pull into its impossibly beautiful harbour. Intricately carved Venetian architecture have helped make Hvar town the most visited of all of the southern Dalmatian islands. core of the old town is a profusion of elegant buildings, punctuated by St. Stephen's Square. As the sun goes down and the lights are turned on, Hvar becomes the Adriatic fairy tale. The next morning, we set sail for the mainland and plot the course for the city of Split. Because our boat is small and we know the Croatian maritime authorities, we're able to dock her right in the centre of the city. Nearly 2,000 years old, perhaps no other city balances the ancient and the modern worlds with such ease. Baroque facades and modern architecture superbly merge in rich heritage. From the heart of the Roman Empire at the Diocletian Palace, all historical layers from the city of Old Rome, Middle Ages till today are still intact. All too soon our voyage comes to an end, and at our captain's dinner we say goodbye to our chef, all the crew who have become our family, and we start our land journey into the very heart of the Balkans. We leave Split by bus and cross the nearby border into Bosnia. We stop at the fascinating cities of Mostar and Sarajevo, and we then cross the border into Montenegro. We have 3 nights in this beautiful so-called Garden of Europe, and then we head south into Macedonia. We stop at the capital Skopje and the ancient lake of Ohrid. For the final piece of the complex jigsaw puzzle, we head into the hermit kingdom of Albania. From Split to the Bosnian border is only 2 hours. Today the crossing is easy, but it brings us into another world. After the Balkans War, Croatia recovered quickly. It always had its coastline. But the Bosnian story is completely different. Mostar is separated by the Neretva River. The icon image of the city is this magnificent 16th century Ottoman bridge that separates the East Bank and the West Bank. This is what Mostar looks like today. And this was Mostar Bridge on the 9th of November 1993. Since the war had broken out in 1992, more than 70 shells had hit this bridge. The destruction of the bridge on this day was the destruction of hope. After the war, reconstruction of the bridge started in 2001, using the same limestone quarry as the original bridge, as well as submerged materials that could be used. An exact copy of the original was opened up in July 2004. Much of Mostar's old town was restored, and the gold and coppersmiths are back at work. The scars of the war are still all over Mostar city, yet this magnificent bridge remains the final symbol of hope. After our night in Mostar, we depart on good roads through the heart of the Dinaric Alps for the 2-hour journey to the Bosnian capital, Sarajevo. No other city in the world has courted history in quite the same way as Sarajevo. Set in a valley surrounded by mountains, its past is both glorious and dark. In 1885, it was the first city in Europe to get the electric tram. 29 years later, on this corner, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie were assassinated. The 28th of June 1914 ignited the First World War. Our hotel is just 150 meters from the fateful corner. This is a street where the Occident meets the Orient, where the Habsburgs meet the Ottomans, and where Judaism meets Christianity. Sarajevo has always been the Jerusalem of Europe. This is the old town where Muslim merchants have worked since the 15th century. This is Liberty Park, the Christian section of the city where chess is played every afternoon. The city was host to the Winter Olympics in 1984. Today, part of that Olympic site is a graveyard, the result of the longest military siege in history, 1,425 days. It ended in February 1996. Today, the city is peaceful and sophisticated. It is testimony to the resilience of the people of Sarajevo.
Tamhle za kopcem je Sarajevo, tam budeme se zítra lásko brát.
After our 2 nights in Sarajevo, we take a magnificent drive through spectacular mountains. We leave Bosnia and enter our next Balkans country, Montenegro. Like Croatia, Montenegro suffered very little during the breakup of Yugoslavia, largely thanks to massive Russian investment. Russians have been here for many, many years. They love nature and they love Montenegro. By mid-afternoon, we reach the beautiful alpine village of Kalashin, where we will stay for 3 nights. Lying at 1,000 meters above sea level, this is an all-year-round resort. In the winter, it's a fantastic ski resort, and in the summer, we take our 4-wheel drives and head out into Biogradska National Park. This is nature at its most pristine. We spent the whole day in the mountains, exploring the glacial lakes, meadows and pastures. This is the last corner of virgin wilderness left in Europe. These forests are over 500 years old, with trees that reach 50 meters in height. On our last day in Kalashin, we explore the Tara River Canyon. We know a quiet but beautiful area of the river where we can do whitewater rafting in comfort. The river is enclosed by walls that are 1,300 meters high. It is the second deepest canyon in the world after the Grand Canyon. Reaching the fish, the Tara River is known as the Tear of Europe. It eventually flows into the Danube. Without doubt, Montenegro is the greatest hidden gem on the continent. The next morning we drive south to Macedonia, but on the way we stop at Kosovo and its capital, Pristina. Rich in mineral resources and propped up by Europe, this is the youngest country in Europe. Its flag is simply the map of Kosovo, and after lunch here, we move further south and cross the border into Macedonia. A new highway from Pristina to Skopje whisks us into the city in less than 90 minutes. This whole area has been inhabited for over 4,000 years. This is Stone Bridge, one of the oldest in Europe. It spans the Vardar River in the very centre of the city. Today, Skopje's centre is dominated by fountains and statues. In fact, so many statues that even the locals don't know when the next statue is going to appear. Yet this eclectic mix of architecture is partly due to an earthquake that occurred on the 26th of July 1963 at 5:17 a.m. It flattened 80% of the city, and the station's clock has never moved since. Skopje's wonderfully atmospheric cobblestone old bazaar has been the centre of commerce since the 12th century. The area contains mosques, tombs, bathhouses and churches, and a variety of antique and souvenir shops. After our 3 nights in Skopje, we drive further south to the shores of Lake Ohrid, the deepest and oldest lake in Europe. Most lakes in the world have an average age of 20,000 years, but Ohrid is 3 million years old. The beautiful town of Ohrid, which cascades down to the lake shore, is also one of the oldest settlements in Europe, dating back to the 6th century. Many monasteries such as Sveti Naum dot the magnificent lake shore. The lake itself is 400 square kilometers, and behind these snow-capped mountains lies Albania. The next morning, we skirt Lake Ohrid to arrive in Albania within the hour. Cut off for 4 decades, Albania is the most intriguing country in Europe today. New roads take us to a previously unreachable destination in the mountains in just 3 hours. Lying on the Osumi River and etched into the mountains is the Ottoman jewel of Berat. This ancient settlement is best known for its Ottoman houses. Portals were cut into the alabaster facades, earning the place the town of 1,000 windows. For our night in Berat, we stay in this 500-year-old Ottoman mansion. Lying right in the centre of the town, it's been beautifully restored and turned into a boutique hotel. The town straddles both sides of the river, the Christians on the east bank and the Muslims on the west bank. The result, it's been peaceful for centuries. The next day we leave for the Albanian capital Tirana, but on the way we see something rather extraordinary. Up until 1991, Albania was the North Korea of Europe. Believing that a nuclear attack from the west was imminent, they built these concrete bunkers all over the country. By 1991, there were 750,000 of them dotting the landscape. The journey from Berat takes 2 hours, and by mid-afternoon we arrive in Tirana. This is the main square of Tirana, Skenderbeg, named after the national hero. And this is our hotel. Tirana is a fascinating architectural mix. Ottoman, fascist and Soviet eras have all left their mark. Yet today, this eclectic tumbler has combined to form a surprisingly sophisticated city. Tirana is flanked by mountains, and on one of the days that we're there, we take a cable car right to the top of Dachti mountain. The views from the top are stupendous, and on a clear day, we can see all the way across the Adriatic to Bari in Italy. Though never part of Yugoslavia, no study of the Balkans would be complete without Albania. And because of this, Tirana is a great place to finish our tour. Song of the Balkans is probably the most thought-provoking journey in all of our portfolio. It is a fascinating and compelling essay on the fracture of Yugoslavia.